Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here. I want to do a video share out today with you guys on the Hot Toys Infinity War War Machine Mark IV. This is the MMS 499 diecast Sideshow exclusive, and he is a beast of a figure. Big, beautiful, intimidating. Just really one of those Hot Toys wow figures. Now if you follow me on Instagram, same handle, Dan 14th Prime, you've already seen I've put some pictures up of the box and the pack out, all the accessories through the trays, etc. So if you're interested in checking out the box and the unboxing, follow me on Instagram, same handle, Dan 14th Prime. If you're thinking about picking up a War Machine, or really any Hot Toys, check the link in the description below. I'll link you out to Sideshow. And as usual, any shopping you do through those links supports the channel at no cost to you, and I do very much appreciate that. All right, now let's jump in on the War Machine and take a closer look. Let me give you a quick overview of this figure. One thing I love about this figure is just a massive hulking figure, but at the same time it is really sleek. Everything comes together really nice and snug, and folding pieces like flaps, missile ports, etc. all just feel like natural extensions of the suit. We still have all this great Air Force logoing and detailing. There's a beautiful digital black and gray camouflage across this armor. Just looks fantastic. We'll see that closer up. This really makes the point on the sleekness from behind. He's got rocket launchers back there, air flaps, his big overhead cannon, and it all just folds up so nice and neat in this backpack. Let me give you a comparison here of the Mark IV versus the Mark I on the right and Mark II on the left. I think the Mark I still takes the cake as the biggest, bulkiest, tallest War Machine armor, just by a hair versus the Mark IV. But really, as I compare those two, just the cohesiveness of the Mark IV. And the technology has evolved, right? But the whole midsection, I think, and then into the shoulder joints, big improvements on this armor. All right, let's jump in closer. Let me just show you some of the really nice detailing across this armor. Hopefully you can start to see a bit better some of this digital camouflaging. I'll try even just to get maybe a bit of an angle, kind of help with that, but yeah, you can start to see that there. Just the dark black across the gray. That is all over the suit. Probably, machine printed, painted, something like that, in terms of how they got that application on there. But is really, really good in hand. Of course, while we're up top, the you have the pretty typical removable chest plate here, which they just always do. Just works with tabs, and you have probably one of the more uninspiring attempts at what's underneath the Iron Man armor. Honestly, I don't even know why they try to do this on every figure. It made sense on some, but we really don't need it. So I'm not too worried about how poor that looks under there. Some of the usual nice icons with Air Force, Mark IV over there. He has here up front some missile port silos. So there are some panels here you can lift up. Just basically comes to about a horizontal position right over the top. And also he has some kind of rocket port mechanisms that can flip up from the back. So they'll start by looking like this. I'll come back to these when we actually put on the alternative accessories, which is giving you a feel for how things move and what they look like before we start to weapon them up. And some close up here, lower half of the figure. Again, just that camo. Big hulking legs. You can see some nice gray accent, sort of line work around some of the edges of the panels. It's down here on the ankle as well. And a little silver accent there just over the toe. On the profile here, again, the Air Force logo on the shoulder, very cool. Just love this thick sleekness just kind of across the torso, from the chest all the way into the backpack. And I'm going to just give you the side view if you're flipping out this sort of missile port. Swings up from right there, very cool. And there's more back there that we'll look at. Just swing the arm up, by the way. You can take a look through the lower torso there. Love how the shoulder sort of floats and moves with the arm here. Whereas other armors, you're sort of, positioning that and manipulating it. But it's all very intuitive and works together in this figure. So a nice upgrade there. And here, the lower half profile. Get some cool silver accents here off the hip, which you'll see when it swings around back. Almost looks like a little rocket or something. Air Force logo again. Again, more of these silver accents. See some of that inside of the knee there where you get like the layered, more flexible armor. And down the leg again, you'll see some of this gray, almost sort of highlighting or pinstriping just certain accents and panels all the way down through the lower leg. And maybe a bit tough to see, but if I can get it here, you see the boot down there. There's a little bit of just dirt splatter across the feet. And here around back again, this very impressive backpack. You see just all kinds of great detail. These missile ports, you know, you see them numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. You see these purple accents on them, red accents on them. This whole centerpiece is the gun port, which you can swing up over the head. And then down here across that are some flaps. And I'll let you just take it in, but there's just so much great molding, so much great paint. I just think a great design by the MCU and well brought to life here by Hot Toys. Back hip here, again, I was mentioning these sort of almost rocket-looking ports. You see those down there, those silver accents that come around the back. Those look really cool. In terms of showing you a bit of this backpack, you know, I've showed you the missile ports. They just kind of flip up on a hinge, like so. These are his wing flaps here. So these can flip up, and they're on a rotating piece there. So you can do this. There's these magnetized pieces on top, which frankly are kind of irritating because I have one that tends to like to fall off. That one was on a bit better. But you can go with that look, and there's a long groove here, so you know you could like slide these down and get more length to your fin if you like. And then again, you know, I've mentioned the big overhead gun. Can plug right out. And you can add in this accessory, kind of just the whole arm section of it, by plugging that in there to get that over his head. And again, long groove, so you can place it in various assorted areas. So yeah, a lot going on that back, but really cool when you get all of that in play. Then we'll just come down the lower back half of the figure. I'll do a bit of a pan. Yeah, I think the digital camo hopefully shows up pretty good here, as I can see from this angle. Back of the knees, some of the silver accenting, again, typically there in the various armors. Big back of the legs. And again, down to the back of the feet with some of that dirt speckling. Now, sometimes on these lower calves, you have different vents and air accents that flip out as well. So we don't seem to have moving parts here, but you look underneath, he's got, you know, the rocket vents, the flow, the airflow, kind of built right into the bottom of the calf. And while we're at it there, you can check out the bottom of those feet as well. And again, just a mud and dirt splatter on the bottom of the feet even as too. And other profile here, not much different, but I did just want to take a moment on the forearm. I didn't show you much on the other side, but War Machine's always got these big forearms with big guns that pop out, and you'll see how we do that through accessories, but you can see it sort of layered in there. The gun turret right there coming on top of the wrist. And then the inside of the arm there, a little more streamlined, but we'll definitely be coming back to these forearms. Let's start off by ticking through the hands. You would have noticed he has the standard kind of stock closed fist on the figure out of the box. This here, a closed fist, but very cool. You'll see some weapons coming out of the top of the wrist, sort of popping up, extending from the hand. Check that even on the back, you get some sort of vent type of effect. You get a set of these, very cool. War Machine can never have too many weapons in too many places. You also get your pretty standard articulated hand, always a nice option to have on the figure for most of the time because you have the most flexibility with it, right? So it's kind of got the base, he's got all the 3 knuckles across the fingers, all individually articulated. Thing always is, you know, they don't really come together. So when you think about putting them together to make a fist, you know, you only get something like that. Nothing new, but always nice to have them. They also have the light up feature coming through the repulsor. And then lastly, and again, pretty standard, the repulsor hand. Light up feature will come through the palm there. You get just a little bit of kind of natural cock in the wrist. The hands are a bit sort of rubberized so they won't break. So pretty familiar pack out in terms of hands overall, but definitely those weaponized ones I showed you first. Very cool new addition. And we also get here the head sculpt of our boy Don, playing Mr. James Rhodey. You know, the Rhodey head sculpt is always like good but unspectacular. They don't really change it. I mean, it looks like just a repurposed head sculpt. I haven't compared in detail to my others, but I know they just always seem to look the same. But not many people are probably using this, but looks good. I think the eyes look fantastic here. I think they have repainted this sculpt, so it does look good. And then, of course, you can, you know, drop on the mask. And you can keep the mask Rhodey on if you'd like to kind of flip back and forth. Flip up the face mask. Always something to check the first time you open and check out your diecast figures, because sometimes there's magnets missing on the mask and it won't sit right. Next up here are the 2 missile port accessories that will go in those, you know, back flap pieces that flip over the shoulder. So we'll get these on the figure in a moment, but Give you the close-up look, all these little missiles just silver painted inside of there. Looks really good, and you can see they'll just snap on with pegs. And really pretty small here, but you get sort of a cross-section of missiles. 6 tiny little missiles in there. These will plug into the front shoulder flaps that I flipped up and showed you. And again, there's just a simple little peg there on the end to do that. I think you've seen the over-the-shoulder cannon a bit, just as I've been showing the figure, but worth taking a special extra second on as a separate accessory. It's just really cool. Fits so naturally into the figure, again, as part of the backpack or coming over the shoulder. Really just really dark, black or really dark gunmetal gray. Some molding through there, accents. The top cover is really the really beautiful part. And then, it's sort of like a laser kind of cannon. Looks like 6 barrels coming out of there out of the front, but very futuristic looking. And then lastly here for the arms, I'm just going to show you one set because I only have 2 hands to hold each piece, but you get a top of an armor, which pops up the gun. The gun I showed you in the wrist, it shows it elevated. It's very cool. Silver tipped. You get all of that nice detailing across there. And then this, just a little accent to go underneath the arm, just to sort of provide some extension sort of look into the wrist and the forearm. So you get one of these for each arm. Here being the other set. We also get our battery and screwdriver pack out. Apologies, but I'm not going to light the figure. And finally, we have the stand. It's the typical stock stand, so it will fit in uniform with all of your other Infinity War figures. I will say pretty underwhelming. Now, for a figure of this size, he also just comes with sort of a modified crotch grabber, which frankly, I don't think it works at all with the figure. So I don't even think it's very functionally effective either. If you go back to the Mark I, for example, and forget the nice diorama base, but even more functional, you just sort of got the long hook there. Because that's about the best you can do to get underneath and support an armor like this. This thing, it actually doesn't really, you can't get that to sit in the crotch at all, so it's total fail. And if you have the exclusive, you get the rocked theme base there, cover. So you can just lay that over that like so. And you can plug in your thing here. And really what the War Machine needed was a flight stand. I know he's a big, heavy figure, but that's the role he played in the movie. He's basically in the air, just dropping bombs on everyone. I understand it's a heavy figure, and they've been advised not to use flight stand on him in the instructions, but they should have figured out a way to make that work. And then the bonus accessory here is the Outrider, just like scorched earth. The repaint of the one I think we got with Cap, I believe, is where the original came from. So it's all right. It's sort of like, I mean, when I saw it, it's like, oh, it's not amazing. It's not terrible. But they try to go for this burned skin look across the figure with black char on it. And I don't know, I just think the burned skin kind of comes off okay, I guess, but it's not terrible. I think it can still just make a nice little accent display. You can kind of loop them to the side like that, is I think how the instructions have it. Or frankly, like I said, this base zero value really in terms of if you really want to have the figure functionally standing well. So I'm kind of just using it like a display piece. Okay, let's come back to our figure. Get him weaponed up. Again, we had opened up these ports, if you'll recall. And you just sort of plug that in. Tab down. We'll get both of those in. Then for the missile port section, you just kind of peel off the front cover like that. And drop in the accented one. So let's knock that out both sides. Already got the gun overhead. Let's do some work here on the hands and arm. I mentioned this cover panel here. We'll just kind of wiggle off. It's on a couple pegs. We can get that gun up, so you can take that off. Again, on the inside, same thing. Little panel, very flat and flush, like that. Then you can plug in your lower one, which again gives a bit of a little gun extension to it, little pop-out effect. And on top there, you put the big guy. And let's go ahead and go full on. We'll just unplug the hand, and let's put the big weaponized hand Plug that right in there as well. And there he is, all weaponed up. As always, good fun with War Machine when you bring all these things out. So yeah, you can just check that out. The missile ports from the front there, if interested. Again, down low with the gold, up high with the silver. This gun turret is beautiful. And I think the weapons coming off the forearms always look cool. They become more compact over the years. And then out of the fist, that's really neat too. So yeah, just badass, very cool, very fun. Just seems like Hot Toys takes a lot of pride in their War Machine armors. They're always really so fantastic and some of the coolest overall Iron Man armors. In terms of articulation on the figure, I'm really going to spend just like 2 seconds. If you're familiar with Hot Toys, you'll know what you're getting into here. The drop-down hip is, I think, an important feature to make sure you're aware of for articulation around the hip panels and moving all of these pieces, so always be aware of that. I think the knee is really good. You'll get your usual stuff in the foot, and the panels all around accommodate that. Another pretty standard area to be aware, in case you are not, is of course the waist section with Hot Toys Iron Man figures. It extends. Mine's currently extended. Drop that down, pull it back out. So be aware of those things. I talked a bit about the arm and the shoulder. I do like that. I mean, just see how that just moves very naturally, this shoulder armor. It's like they've integrated it, and you don't have to position it and play with it. It just really flows with the arm. And inside there, you've got all your rotating butterfly, all of that stuff. I think the articulation is really good. But just some of the main watch-outs there if you're a bit newer to Hot Toys figures. Otherwise, if you know the name of the game, you're going to pick up on the rest, and overall the articulation does a very nice job. So there you have it, guys. Hot Toys Infinity War, War Machine Mark IV armor. Awesome piece. Awesome piece. On the more expensive end, at least when it was originally pre-ordered and announced, but we've seen the prices go up even more since then. But still not cheap, but no regrets here from me. It's really, really beautiful. If you're going to have a few Iron Man armors in your collection, I strongly suggest you take a look at this one. It's a great War Machine representation. Really, my only complaint would be the stand. They should have figured out a way to make it a flight stand, even though it's a heavy figure. Bombing Wakanda is how we remember the War Machine in the Infinity War movie. So that was a miss. But then even what they did give us with that double-wired crotch grabber isn't even functional. They should have went with a crotch pull, more like they did with the Mark I stand. But a small nit in the grand scheme of things, because you can always work your way around stands. And frankly, often I don't even use them. But again, really happy overall. Follow my Instagram, same handle, Dan14 Prime, to check out the box and the layers, the pack out. If you're interested in picking up the War Machine or any Hot Toys, check the link in the description below. I'll jump you out to Sideshow. Any shopping you do through those links supports the channel at no cost to you, and I do very much appreciate that. All right, guys, thanks for checking in on this Hot Toys video review. I'll see you next time.